So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some books that I think Goodreads is wrong about. These are books that have a lower than average rating on Goodreads. However, I really enjoyed them. I wouldn't say that this video is necessarily a recommendations video, but I wanted to talk about these books because often if I'm interested in a book and I see that it has like a 3.6 or below average rating on Goodreads, then it can give me pause and make me think, ooh, not sure about that one, because clearly not as many people are enjoying it as other books. However, if you have any of these books on your radar, if you have had them on your TBR for a while, if at some point you have been interested in them but seeing the average rating has put you off, then hopefully I can make you feel a little more excited about them. So that is the main goal with this video. I haven't put these in any particular order, which I should have done. If I was feeling more organised, then I probably would have ranked these based on average rating, but I haven't done that, so there will be timestamps in the description just in case there's any particular books that you're interested in. I have included a mix of different genres, so we have some fantasy, some thriller and horror books, and some more like literary fiction, contemporary type stories. First on my list we have Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward, which at the time that I'm filming this has a 3.49 average rating on Goodreads. I think that Catriona Ward's books are quite often miscategorized. I think people pick them up expecting one thing when actually there's something different. So Catriona Ward, the way that I would describe most of her books is that they are literary fiction with horror elements. So her most popular book is The Last House on Needless Street, which I think is a good place to start if you are looking to get into her books. Needless Street is actually my least favourite of her books so far. I think I still gave it a 3.5 to a 4 stars. However, the reasons why a lot of people love it were reasons why I didn't love it so much. I liked the overall message that was being put across and what it was trying to say. However, I found it predictable. So every book that I've read from her since then, I've enjoyed a lot more. The thing about Catriona Ward's books is that they're very slow and confusing in a way that's done deliberately, and I quite like that. I think with Looking Glass Sound, it's the most confusing of her books that I've read so far. It follows this guy who, when he was a teenager, his parents took him on holiday to this small seaside town where for the first time ever he made friends. He made friends with these 2 other kids and they spent the entire summer hanging out, bonding and growing close. While in the background, something creepy is going on. So someone is breaking into people's houses and taking threatening pictures of their children. The children aren't actually being harmed, but clearly this is putting people on edge. It's very unsettling, and that's all I think I really want to say about the plot. You do also follow this guy as an adult and see how the summers that he spent in this town have now affected him. It does become a bit messy and convoluted, but I felt like that worked quite well. I quite enjoyed trying to work out what the book was trying to say and what was actually happening. It has stuck with me long term, and I think if you have the patience and the willingness to bear in mind that it's probably going to hurt your brain at points, then I think a lot of people would also really enjoy this one. Next on my list is Idle by Louise O'Neill, which currently has a 3.58 average rating on Goodreads. This I think a lot of people don't like because the main character is extremely unlikable, and she's written that way deliberately. So when an author intentionally writes a main character who is not likable, who is awful, I find that really interesting to read about. If that's their intention and they're trying to spark a discussion and be provocative, then I really enjoy reading those types of books. So in this one, we are following a main character called Samantha. I always remember that because that's my name. This main character is an influencer. So she has built this career where she now has thousands, if not millions of followers. And at the start of this book, she writes an essay that goes viral talking about an experience that she had with a female friend when she was a teenager that she describes as her sexual awakening. Her friend friend who she hasn't spoken to in years then reaches out to her and says, actually, that's not what I remember happening. The way that I remember it is that you abused me. This isn't so much about who's lying and who's telling the truth. It's more of a character study of this main character. It's really unsettling, really uncomfortable, but also really thought-provoking. I think it would be a really good book to read as part of a book club because there's a lot you can discuss. I would recommend checking trigger warnings if you need them because, as you can probably gather, this does have some darker themes, but I thought they were explored in a really interesting way. Runtime by Catherine Ryan Howard is the next book on my list, and I genuinely do not understand why this only has a 3.43 average rating on Goodreads. Catherine Ryan Howard is one of my favourite crime thriller authors, and this is one of my favourites by her, so I don't understand it. I think if I was to really think about it, I think maybe the main reason this hasn't worked for a lot of people is because it is a bit long for a thriller. It's over 500 pages, but part of the book is told through multimedia. So this is following a main character who lives in California. She's from Ireland originally, and she was a child soap star. She's still trying to act, but she's not getting very far. So she's about to throw in the towel and give up on acting altogether when she gets a phone call from a director asking if she'd be willing to take over the lead role in a horror movie that's currently being shot. The previous actress has dropped out, so she takes this as a sign to jump on a plane and fly home to take part in this movie. When she arrives on set, she finds that some creepy stuff is going on. She's the only woman on set, and the atmosphere and the tension and the suspense I thought was done so well. I felt this woman's fear, maybe because I was putting myself in her shoes and how I would feel if I was in her position. I thought it was really well done. Woven throughout the story, you do get parts of the script of this movie that's being filmed, and it is a little bit repetitive because sometimes you'd get the script and then you'd also get the scene that's being acted out, but I quite liked that repetitiveness and the contrast between the multimedia and what was happening within the book. It brought the story to life for me. So yeah, I genuinely don't understand why this has less than a 3.5 average rating. It's the kind of thriller that to me I think deserves like a 3.7 or a 3.8. I can understand why some people wouldn't enjoy it, but I thought it was really well done. Next up we have The List by Yomi Adegoke, which is still one of my favourite books that I've read so far this year. I read it back in January and I listened to the audiobook, which was fantastically narrated. If you are interested in this book, I would really recommend the audiobook. It currently has a 3.06 average rating on Goodreads, so I can see why that would put some people off from picking it up. And I think maybe the issue with this book is that it's not really about getting answers to what is explained in the synopsis. It's more about the conversation around what the book is exploring. So this follows two main characters and they are engaged. They're about to get married. The female main character, Ola, is a journalist at this feminist magazine, and one morning she goes into work to hear people talking about something called The List, which has been published anonymously on Twitter. And this list is basically a list of men working within the media industry that women have accused of being predators or worse than that. You can imagine what these men have been accused of. And Ola is the kind of person who, because she is a writer, she's a journalist, normally she would be on it. She would be spreading this list for everyone to look at. However, she notices that her fiance's name is on this list. So it's about how these characters react to this situation and the events that unfold. The way that I kind of view this book is that the author presented this situation and then showed how these characters reacted to it, but I think the purpose and the intention was to spark a conversation. So it's another book that I think would be really interesting to discuss as part of a book club. It talks about cancel culture, and I think it also shows why women don't come forward because of what happens when they do accuse their abusers. And I thought it was really cleverly written, really exceptional audiobook. So if you are interested in this one, would recommend the audiobook. It's one of the best audiobooks I think that I've ever listened to. Apologies if the camera angle has changed. I really need to get myself a new memory card because whenever I have to film a longer video, I end up having to delete some stuff off the memory card halfway through, and it is really annoying. But I only have one more book that I need to talk to you about in this video, and that is Dragonfall by LR Lam. I'm going to put a picture on the screen actually, because this has a very shiny cover and I can already see it is very annoying. So I'll put a picture on the screen so you can see, but this is a fantasy book that came out last year, and I think it's really unfortunate that it came out around the same time as Fourth Wing, because even though I haven't read Fourth Wing, I think a lot of people were picking this up expecting it to be similar, and from what I've heard of Fourth Wing, it's completely different. So this is adult fantasy that I think would be a good book to try if you're used to reading YA but you're looking to get into adult fantasy. It's kind of a bridge book in that sense. LR Lam has previously written young adult, so this, I think at times it has some familiarity to YA, but in my opinion I don't have an issue with it being marketed as adult. It's set in a world where dragons and humans used to live in harmony. However, at some point humans betrayed dragons, stole their magic and banished them to another realm. Dragons haven't forgotten what happened and they are still eager for revenge. However, humans, because their lives are a little bit shorter, generations have passed and they don't remember what happened. They actually worship dragons as gods. The book opens with the last male dragon finding his way into the human realm from this dragon realm, and he ends up teaming up with a thief called Arcady. It's kind of a heist plot, but that is quite a small part of the plot. This first book had a lot of world building, and I think it's really important to go in with the right expectations, because the dragons in this, while they do have a dragon form, the main character actually spends a lot of time as a human. I would describe them more as dragon shifters, so they have a human form and a dragon form. I liked the characters and I liked their dynamic and how they had this banter back and forth. I thought there was also decent chemistry as well. There is a romance that develops over the course of the book. I wouldn't call this a romance though. The romance was significant, but not the entire plot. The one thing that I've seen a lot of people struggle with and not like is the shifting perspective. So you have one POV that's told in first person, another that's told in second person, and another that's told in third person. So I think that has been quite jarring to some people, which is understandable. But I think if you're looking for something that feels really unique, then this, in my opinion, is a great introduction to this world and this series. That does bring me to the end of this video though, so thank you for watching if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Even if you didn't like them, let me know what you thought of them and maybe why they didn't work for you. I always enjoy hearing about how people have different opinions on books. Let me know as well if there are any books that have a lower average rating on Goodreads that you really enjoyed. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye.